Preface. Belief is not a loud declaration. It is not arrogance, nor is it blind optimism. True belief in oneself is a quiet agreement made in solitude, a decision to keep moving even when no one is watching, applauding, or encouraging. This book was written for the moments when doubt feels heavier than hope, when comparison steals joy, and when the voice inside questions your worth. You are not broken. You are not late. You are not behind. This book does not promise instant transformation. It offers something more durable: understanding, discipline, compassion, and inner strength. Page by page, it invites you to rebuild trust with yourself, patiently, honestly, and deeply. Introduction. The forgotten power within you. Most people search their entire lives for permission. Permission to start, to try, to fail, to succeed, to become. That permission has always been yours to give. Self-belief is not confidence that you will never fall, it is certainty that you will rise again. It is not the absence of fear, but the decision not to obey it. In this introduction, we explore how belief is formed, how it is damaged, and how it can be restored, not through motivation alone, but through alignment between thought, action, and identity. This book is structured as a journey. Each chapter builds not only understanding, but endurance. By the end, belief will no longer feel like a fragile emotion. It will feel like a skill you can rely on. Understanding self-belief, foundations of inner strength. Self-belief is often confused with confidence, arrogance, or constant positivity. In truth, self-belief is quieter and deeper. It is the internal certainty that you are capable of learning, adapting, and continuing, regardless of outcome. A person with self-belief does not always feel strong, but they trust themselves enough not to give up. Self-belief is built on self-trust. It grows when your actions align with your values, when you keep promises to yourself, and when you allow yourself to be human without self-contempt. This foundation matters because without it, motivation collapses under pressure. Belief does not appear suddenly. It forms slowly through experiences, especially early ones. Childhood feedback, repeated criticism, comparison, neglect, or unrealistic expectations shape the internal narrative we carry into adulthood. When encouragement is conditional, belief becomes fragile. When mistakes are punished, fear replaces curiosity. Over time, the mind learns stories like, "I am not enough. I fail too often. Others are better than me." These stories are learned, and anything learned can be unlearned. Every person carries an inner voice. For some, it is supportive. For others, it is harsh and unforgiving. This voice is not truth, it is conditioning. Self-belief requires recognizing that the inner critic is often a protector that learned fear, not wisdom. When you challenge this voice with compassion rather than aggression, belief begins to return. Who you believe you are determines what you allow yourself to attempt. If your identity is tied to perfection, failure feels like annihilation. If your identity is tied to growth, failure becomes information. This chapter explores how to gently detach worth from results and rebuild identity around values, effort, and integrity. Unresolved emotional memories quietly influence present decisions. A single humiliation can echo for years. Avoidance becomes protection. Self-belief requires revisiting these memories with adult understanding, reframing them not as proof of inadequacy, but as moments of survival. Confidence is not innate, it is trained. Those who appear confident often failed repeatedly in environments where failure was safe. Belief grows where curiosity outweighs fear. Trust is rebuilt through small commitments kept consistently. Grand promises weaken belief. Small actions strengthen it. Examples: finishing what you start, resting without guilt, speaking honestly. Each reinforces the message, "I can rely on myself." Keep one small promise daily. Replace judgment with observation. Track effort, not outcome. Belief is not an emotion. It is a relationship. There will be days when belief feels unreachable. On these days, neutrality is enough. You do not need faith, you need patience. Not quitting is an act of belief. Self-belief is not about becoming fearless. It is about becoming loyal to yourself. This chapter forms the emotional and psychological base of the entire book. Without it, confidence collapses under pressure. With it, growth becomes sustainable. Breaking the chains of self-doubt. Self-doubt is not a personal flaw. It is a mental response learned through experience. At its core, self-doubt is an attempt to protect you from pain, rejection, or failure. Unfortunately, what once protected you can later imprison you. This section explores how doubt forms, why it persists, and why intelligent, capable people often experience it more intensely than others. Doubt grows in environments where mistakes are punished, emotions are dismissed, or success is conditional. Over time, the mind associates action with risk. Comparison accelerates doubt. When you measure your internal struggles against others' external highlights, belief erodes quietly. The inner critic speaks loudly but offers little wisdom. It generalizes, exaggerates, and predicts disaster. The inner guide is calm, specific, and constructive. This section teaches you how to recognize which voice you are listening to, and how to gently shift authority away from the critic. Many people fear failure, but fewer recognize their fear of success. Success brings visibility, expectation, and responsibility. This section explores both fears and how they silently influence procrastination, hesitation, and self-sabotage. Belief grows where emotional safety exists. If every mistake feels like a threat to your worth, growth becomes impossible. You will learn how to create internal emotional safety, allowing yourself to take risks without self-punishment. Aggressive self-talk does not eliminate doubt. Compassionate questioning does. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What would I learn?" This reframing weakens doubt without denying reality. Curiosity neutralizes fear. When curiosity leads, performance improves. This section explains how shifting from judgment to curiosity reopens belief. Name the doubt without obeying it. Act in small, low-risk ways. Separate identity from outcome. Consistency matters more than intensity. Doubt does not disappear forever. Progress triggers resistance. This section teaches resilience, how to continue even when doubt resurfaces. Self-doubt does not mean you are incapable. It means you care. This chapter prepares you to move forward not without doubt, but without letting it lead. Building confidence through action. Many people wait to feel confident before acting. This is one of the most common traps. Confidence is not the starting point, it is the consequence of action. This section explains why action must come first, even when motivation is low and fear is present. Waiting reinforces doubt. Movement weakens it. The brain builds belief through evidence. Each completed action, no matter how small, sends a signal: I am capable. This section explores how small wins accumulate into self-trust and why consistency matters more than intensity. Perfection delays growth. Imperfect action creates momentum. Here, we examine why doing something poorly is more powerful than doing nothing perfectly, and how momentum reduces fear naturally. Motivation is emotional and unreliable. Discipline is structural and dependable. This section teaches how to build simple systems that support action even on difficult days, without relying on willpower. Habits shape identity. What you do daily becomes who you believe you are. Small, repeatable behaviors create a stable sense of self, which strengthens belief over time. Fear does not disappear before action. It fades after action. This section reframes courage as movement with fear, not absence of fear. Progress is rarely linear. Setbacks are part of growth. Here, we explore how to respond to failure without self-abandonment and how to resume action quickly. Choose one meaningful action daily. Lower the threshold for success. Acknowledge completion. Action builds belief when it is recognized. On some days, action feels unreachable. On those days, maintenance is success. This section introduces the concept of minimum viable effort, staying connected without forcing progress. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is the echo of repeated action. This chapter bridges belief and behavior, turning insight into lived experience. Resilience, failure, and self-respect. Failure is not an event, it is an interpretation. Two people can experience the same setback and emerge with entirely different beliefs about themselves. One concludes, I am not capable. The other concludes, I am learning. This section explores how failure becomes personal only when identity is attached to outcome. When results define worth, every mistake feels like a threat. Failure carries emotional residue, shame, disappointment, regret. These emotions often linger longer than the event itself. Here, we examine how unprocessed emotion weakens self-belief and how allowing emotions without judgment restores inner balance. Resilience is not toughness. It is self-respect under pressure. This section explains why treating yourself fairly during failure strengthens belief more than success ever could. Most people replay failure as punishment. Resilient people review failure as information. We explore how to extract lessons without reinforcing shame, and how curiosity replaces self-criticism. Taking responsibility empowers. Taking blame weakens. This section clarifies the difference and shows how to hold yourself accountable without attacking your worth. Recovery is not immediate, it unfolds in stages. This section outlines a compassionate recovery process that allows rest, reflection, and gradual re-engagement. Resilience requires energy. Without boundaries, recovery becomes impossible. We explore how saying no, protecting time, and honoring limits preserve belief. Pain becomes strength only when meaning is created. This section explores how adversity refines values, clarifies priorities, and deepens character. There are moments when resilience feels impossible. In these moments, survival is enough. This section validates low-capacity days and reframes endurance as progress. Resilience is not about never breaking. It is about rebuilding without losing self-respect. This chapter teaches you how to fail without abandoning yourself, a skill that defines lasting self-belief. Living as someone who believes. At this stage of the journey, belief is no longer something you try to feel, it is something you practice daily. Living as someone who believes does not mean constant confidence or unbroken optimism. It means alignment between who you are, what you value, and how you act. Belief becomes quiet, stable, and deeply rooted. When you believe in yourself, decisions change. You no longer seek constant validation or delay choices out of fear of making the wrong one. This section explores how self-trust simplifies decision-making and reduces mental exhaustion. Boundaries are not walls, they are expressions of self-respect. Living with belief means knowing when to say yes, when to say no, and when to walk away without guilt. This section explores boundaries in relationships, work, and personal growth. Comparison weakens belief by shifting focus outward. Here, we examine how to disengage from comparison culture and return attention to personal values, progress, and purpose. Belief matures when purpose replaces approval. This section explores how to define success internally rather than borrowing it from others' expectations. Belief fades without maintenance. Daily routines, reflection, movement, learning, rest, act as anchors that stabilize self-trust over time. Belief influences how you relate to others. You attract healthier relationships when you no longer abandon yourself. This section explores connection without dependency and support without self-erasure. Change tests belief. This section prepares you to navigate transitions, career shifts, loss, success, uncertainty, without losing your center. True belief extends outward. When you trust yourself, you give others permission to trust themselves. This section explores leadership, mentorship, and quiet influence. Believing in yourself is not about arriving. It is about continuing. You will still feel fear. You will still doubt at times. But you will no longer confuse those feelings with truth. This chapter completes the journey, not by ending growth, but by grounding it. That's all, folks. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to see you next time. Take care for yourself and have a nice day.